Cowboy loads, 38 special versus 44 special, and people for a long time have been wanting to see me test Cowboy action ammunition. So our 38 special is a 158 grain flat point Cowboy action lead, and our 44 special is a 200 grain round nose flat point Cowboy action lead. Our 38 special is rated at 840 feet per second, and our 44 special is rated at 850 feet per second. I'm not sure what barrel lengths they use to get those velocities, but if I had to take an educated guess, I'd say probably a 5.5 inch single action revolver. But today I'm going to use my 4-inch revolvers, my 4-inch model Smith & Wesson 686. It's 4 1/8 inch barrel, and my 4 1/4 inch Smith & Wesson model 69. So we'll see what we get for our Cowboy action load. So we're going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time. Then I'm going to do my 10% clear ballistic test. So we're going to go into plain clear ballistics to see what the best potential of those cartridges are. No denim in the way to clog our hollow point or anything like that. If it were a hollow point, now these are not hollow points, but that's generally why I do the plain clear ballistics shot, just to see what hollow point expansion will look like. But because I'm testing other ammo that doesn't expand, I'm still going to do that test, because when I do my real world simulation, I put rib simulation in there, and that can possibly affect the potential for penetration. So we're going to do a plain clear ballistics shot, see how deep these things go. Then I'll do more of a real world simulation, 4 layers of denim on this first 3-inch piece that represents our pectoral muscle. After that, we'll have a 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard that's going to represent hitting ribs or sternum. After 16 more inches of clear ballistics, we'll have another 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard that's going to represent back ribs. And clear ballistics is roughly a half representation of flesh, so 3 inches and 16 inches is more like 1.5 inches and 8 inches in an actual target. So it's like 9.5 inches we're trying to represent in a living target. So we'll do a plain clear ballistics shot and then a real world simulation shot, and then I'm going to shoot at the steel, see what kind of practical accuracy these things have, what kind of recoil control I can have with rounds like this. So let's get started with this test. All right, first up we have our 38 special 158 grain. We are rated at 840 feet per second. Let's see how close I get to that in my Smith & Wesson 686. See how close I get to 840 feet per second. 814. 835. 832. 822. 827. 838. All right, so not too bad overall, with its rated velocity at 840. We're a little bit low, but pretty darn close. Now, our 44 special rated at 850 feet per second. Let's see what I get in my 4 1/4 inch barrel here. See how close I get to 850. 710. 697. 585. 672. 649. So we had one that really dropped kind of low. Very interesting there, but definitely a lot less velocity than our 38 special, but the bullet is quite a bit heavier. But let's hit our ballistics gel block and see how these two compare. All right, our first shot in the plain clear ballistics. I have 35 inches of ballistics gel, 10% clear ballistics, and then a fleece bullet stop in case these go all the way through. I really don't know what's going to happen, so I put that there just in case, because flat point bullets that are solid tend to penetrate quite a bit. So let's see what we get here with our 38 special. All right, let's hit that with our 44 special. Let's go take a look. All right, so a big difference there, and this is a perfect demonstration of momentum, what momentum is. A lot of people don't understand momentum. They think it means, knock somebody over, and then you got other people that are angry. You can't knock somebody over. Momentum is simply the ability for a bullet to continue to truck along. even if it starts out really slow, because there's more mass there and it can just kind of keep going. We saw a big difference in momentum there between our 38 special and our 44 special for sure. But it does honestly look like we have more energy dump with the 38 special, but that's just probably because it's slowing down quicker. Our 38 on the bottom, our 44 on top. And I'm really surprised with that 38 because we had some pretty decent velocity that we stopped in that first shell block there. We have a penetration of 17 3/4 inches. So that's acceptable for self-defense, you know, with your typical standards there, stopping within 18 inches. Very interesting there. Our 44 special, we are right there at about 32 1/4 inches. I know camera parallax will make it look like it's probably not quite that far, but that's where it is, 32 1/4 inches of penetration. So we almost doubled that penetration just by having some more bullet weight and mass going on there. Very interesting. But you know, if we put in rib simulation, that can definitely alter things quite a bit. So let's put in our rib simulation, put on our denim. Even though the denim's redundant, we'll put that on anyway because I always do that in my tests, and see how they compare in our real world simulation. All right, our real world simulation, 4 layers of denim, 3 inches of clear ballistics, a 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard to represent hitting ribs or sternum, 16 more inches of clear ballistics, another 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard to represent hitting back ribs, and then some more clear ballistics. Let's see what we get here at the 38 special. All right. Put that with our 44 special. Let's go take a look. All right, so hitting a rib simulation did make a big difference there for that over penetration we saw with the 44 special. Energy dump in that first 3 inches is roughly the same. And we look here at our rib simulation, and they're both going through straight. They look almost bigger than their starting diameter, so I like to see them going in straight. I hate to see bullets tumbling right away. Now, I do think they tumbled at some point, but we want to get, you know, at least past here before they start tumbling, or else we won't get sufficient penetration. So we actually have pretty good tumbling damage right here with our 38 special, and a little bit here with our 44 special. Our 38 special, we went to 16 inches of penetration. Now it does look like that 44 special actually hit that rib simulation and then bounce back off that. I don't see much of a mark on here though, so just didn't even break that tape. So that means that stopped right there at 19 inches of penetration with our 44 special. So our 44 is going a little bit too deep, but at the same time, you know, there's ribs in a real target, and I don't think that this would really realistically over penetrate if we were talking, if you're using this for self-defense or something like that. So honestly, better performing with both of these than what I thought I was going to see here. Not bad overall. So let's pull these out of block. We'll take a close-up look at them. Then I'll shoot our steel, see what kind of practical accuracy and shootability I can get with these. All right, so before I show these bullets up close, I want to show something that people often get wrong here. They don't quite understand what's happening here. And we'll take a look here at this bottom shot here to illustrate this. A lot of people tell me, you know, my second shot there with the same caliber going through the MDF versus the plain gel shot isn't valid because I shot through the same channel, because this is the view they're seeing. But if you look from the front here, these are all their own different channels. Here's a view from the bottom that might be a little bit closer here. Here's our first 38 there, and then about 2 inches apart, there's our second one through the MDF. They never intersected channels. But people, because they only see it from the front, they think I shot through the same hole, not realizing this is greater than 1 inch thick. It's 6 inches wide as well as it is tall. So here's a close-up look at our bullets here going through our plain gel. our 38 special and our 44 special. Here's our 38 special. Seems to be quite a hard bullet because there is absolutely no mushrooming or deformation. Sometimes you can see that with lead bullets, but these are very, very hard bullets. They have a wax seal around them for a lube there. And the reason why I'm saying it's a hard bullet, because when we go through our medium density fiberboard and our rib simulation and our denim there's just nothing there. There's also no imprinting on the front of that bullet, other than a mark I put on there to indicate they went through the rib simulation. But, you know, with soft lead bullets, you'll actually see an imprint pattern of denim. You'll see it in there. So these are definitely a pretty hard bullet. I don't know if they're technically hard cast, but they are definitely not super soft bullets. If they were softer, they'd probably do a little more damage and not go as deep. So I guess it's, you know, whatever you prefer, what your use is. You know, if I was going to use these for a self-defense load, I'd rather them be a softer lead so that they mushroom out and do a little bit more damage. But if you're using it for, like, I don't know, bear defense or something, not really a good choice, but I mean, a better bullet than a soft bullet for sure. So that's a close-up look at those bullets. All right, 14 yards from the target. I'm just going to get a front sight picture, pop these off as fast as I think I can hit the target. See how these feel for a controllable recoil for me. Very, very easy to control. 44 special. See how this does. All right, I missed one. I must have pulled it over the target. Not too bad overall. Let me back up and shoot from some distance to see how these things continue to shoot for me from a little more distance. All right, 40 yards from the target. I'm just gonna do some slow fire here. See how these things do for me from 40 yards. So here's our 38 special. All right, so those are shooting high and to the left for me. I had to aim low and right to be able to make consistent hits. So 44 special, let's see what this does. I think we're still kind of getting the same point of impact with these. So I'm going to look at my sights here. I think I might need a little adjustment. And then I'm going to back it up to 75 yards. See how they do from that distance. All right, 75 yards from the target just for fun. In my experience, a lot of times what I see is from distances like 40 yards, even 25 yards, you'll see rounds that shoot really, really slow actually shoot high, because it's like there's a little bit of recoil before that bullet even leaves the muzzle. So it'll kind of shoot high, but when you come back further, it'll shoot high still, but then it'll start to drop. That'll come into place. So I'll continue to aim center mass with these and see how I can do. 38 special. Not too bad overall. Yeah, I think they're more consistently hitting to the left than anything, but they're kind of all over that steel. I am aiming just a little bit to the right though. I'll keep going. All right. I did terrible on that second run there. I think I was going to hit them all, but going a little too fast, I guess. 44 special. Let's see if this hits the steel any harder at that distance. It takes a while for those to cover that distance. A couple times I thought I missed, and then I heard it hit a split second after. Keep going. All right, I missed a couple there, but I got enough information here to draw some conclusions with what I'm seeing with this ammo. Our 38 Special is actually pretty powerful for what it is, being such a low recoiling round, to have pretty good velocity for what it is. Our 44 Special was kind of slow with our velocity. However, even though it was slow, that extra bullet mass really played into it performing a lot better. So I would say for our terminal ballistics test, you know, our 38 Special technically did better. However, my gut feeling tells me the 44 Special would actually be a little bit more effective on our real target, especially if it's a larger target, because, you know, there's a lot more bullet mass there. It has the potential to have more penetration. Maybe not so much to, you know, bones and whatnot, but it seems like the 44 Special did a little bit better, even though we had technically over penetration. And at distance here, for me, it looks like the 44 Special did a little bit better. Just a little bit more consistency at distance for its accuracy. But up close, you know, I missed one with the 44 Special. So overall, I'm going to say they're both pretty even here. If I had to carry one of these, I'd prefer the 44 Special. I prefer that 200 grain bullet over a 158 grain 38, because, you know, it's a 200 grain. You got a little bit more to work with there. So not bad overall. You know, I've been curious for a long time what we were going to see with this. I figured that they would both shoot through, you know, the entire gel setup and stop in that blanket backstop. That's why I had it there. So I'm really surprised that it did not over penetrate to the level that I thought it was going to over penetrate. So very interesting here. So I would say on a technical note, our 38 Special is closer to rated velocity, and it, I guess, did better. Our 44 Special is way off from its rated velocity, but it did okay for what it is. So interesting test. That's what you get today. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.